Hello, everyone. Annette Anthony here, your Director of Corporate Engagement with Exit Realty Corp International. So excited to welcome you to this month's Techinar. We've got a special guest, Derek Stephenson. He is the Manager of Franchise Support. We are so excited to have you here, Derek, today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invite.
Yes, you're welcome. Listen, we're going to dive into one of our newest tools, and we're just going to get started because we know that time is of the essence. So what we're showcasing today is our open house check-in, and what it solves is three really important layers: reach, accountability, and activity. Those are all things that help our associates have more open houses, more views, more conversations, and more closings. Now, what I know to be true is that there's a challenge when it comes to real estate, and that, for example, agent A, okay, they have a lot of listings or several listings, but they have limited visibility. And then we have agent B who sold his inventory, right? And yet he's motivated to do more open houses this weekend. So that's how our open house check-in bridges the gap. Now, one challenge, of course, and there's many, when you're having an open house, you have visitors, they come in, you greet them, they have to write their contact information on a sign-in form, or maybe you're paying for a open house management platform and it doesn't integrate with your brand or your listings, and there's no client consent. Okay, and then at the end of the open house, you have to either take action on your list, whether it's handwritten, you have to put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm pretty sure I'm like striking those pains, right, that agents encounter for open houses. And here's the real truth. If there's no follow-up, there's no proof of activity, and then those leads are all dead ends, and that's not what we want. So here's what we've done. We've created the open house check-in. Now, this is a QR code that's automatically generated, and every property has its own unique open house check-in QR code. Now, it's pretty simple. When the associate comes into their dashboard, they can adjust the appearance of their QR code. They can save it. They can even test it from the dashboard. Now, how it works is, let's say, for example, at an open house, the exit associate has a beautiful picture frame, okay? In that picture frame, they decide to print their QR code for their open house check-in. When their visitors come through the open house, they will just simply be asked to scan the QR code from their mobile device. And we know people are fused to their technology, right? And they simply scan the QR code. They have a form. On that form, they would put in their contact information and provide consent. And then what happens is that lead automatically flows instantly into the agent's inbox. And it also, those leads go into the resource center under the contacts page. Now, there are two big questions that I've been asked since we've launched this tool, two important ones. First is, can I use the open house check-in on listings that aren't even mine? Okay, and number two, the other big question is, do I get the lead data or does it go to the listing agent? Now, those are two really important questions, and I'm going to say yes to both. We say yes to both because, first of all, the broker owner will enable this feature for your office, and then the listing agent gets to determine whether they want to enable all of their listings, some of their listings. They can even determine which agents have access to market those listings, or they want to give access to all the agents. And then, of course, all the marketing assets are branded automatically to the co-marketing agent, but also giving credit to the listing agent. So here's a real world scenario. Okay, we just talked about this in one of my many meetings. Okay, Renee has several listings, and Brad, he blew through his inventory. He sold it all, and he's motivated to co-market. Like, he wants to go out and do some open houses. And what Renee is able to do is go in. She can enable her properties. So then Brad has instant content to start using. He can market her properties, have it all co-branded to him. Renee instantly expands her reach, and other associates in the office are ready to promote it. So let me give you a bird's eye view. So when Brad logs into his resource center, he's able to go into the properties page and go and see the co-marketing resources available on the properties that he can co-market. Next, what he'll see is his co-marketing resources. He will literally have a flyer that's ready, print ready. So all he has to do is just click on whether it's a portrait or landscape style flyer, and the flyer is done. The flyer is going to capture that QR code for this property, and all the leads are going to go to Brad because it's on his flyer. The property flyer automatically pulls in Brad's information. You'll see it there on the bottom left. On the bottom right, where that red arrow is pointing, it always gives credit to the listing agent, which is Renee. That's very important to us. All of this is generated automatically. The only thing Brad needs to worry about is how nice of a paper quality is he going to put in the printer, right? That's it, because it's automatically done for him. It's going to save him time from having to go in, and Renee doesn't have to worry about, will the listing look good if an agent is creating the property flyer themselves? Okay, it's done automatically. Second is Brad has access to the property spotlight, which is his custom QR code that gives details about the property. All the leads that he generates as a result go to Brad. He also has a shareable link. And as you discovered before, he can also adjust the appearance of the QR code. That's under the property spotlight tab. And then the open house check-in. So Brad has also a custom QR code for the property, and anyone who scans it, that fills out the form, the leads all go to Brad. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Now, all of this is done automatically in the Resource Center. But Derek, you're such an important role in this Techinar today, because you're going to actually demo and show us what are the steps. So let's have you dive in. I'm going to go ahead and give you permission to share your screen. I'm going to give you the controls.
Perfect.
All right, you guys. And the intention here is we want to make sure that agents know, where do I go? It's a lot easier than you think. Okay, Derek, go ahead. I can see your screen.
All right, perfect. So I'm currently signed into the Resource Center as Renee, and if you remember back from Annette's example just a second ago, Renee is the associate that has the listings. And before we get started with the co-marketing side, I just want to highlight how, of course, Renee can come into the Properties tab. It's going to list her listings, of course, and if we click onto a particular listing, you'll see over on the right-hand side that we've added in that open house check-in QR code that is available. And of course, this is specific for Renee. So if Renee wanted to be the one to host that open house, this QR code is for Renee. It's already set up and ready to roll for her. Now, the fun part of this, as Annette was mentioning, is that, of course, Renee has the flexibility of being able to go ahead and enable other associates within her brokerage to be able to go ahead and host open houses, do co-marketing as far as flyers go, and all that good stuff. So in order for Renee to do that, because she's the listing agent, she technically has control over who can market her properties or co-market her properties. Up in the top right-hand corner of and this little drop-down menu there, Renee's going to click onto it. We're going to click into settings and preferences. And then over on the far left, we're going to click into co-market my listings. So because the office or the franchisee, the broker, has already gone in and enabled the office to be able to go ahead and co-market the properties, Renee has the ability here to come in and she can choose all her listings, no listings, none of her listings, or even potentially just a specific property. Specific properties are really for, let's say there is a high-end listing and maybe Renee wants to be the one to handle all the marketing. Maybe it's a very high-end client and she doesn't necessarily want anything to fall through the cracks or the potential of falling through the cracks. So she wants to handle all that marketing on her own. They've hired her strictly. They don't want to have to worry about receiving information or having open houses with other associates. So she's going to handle that property all on her own. And she can definitely specify that. For the demo today, we're just going to go ahead and choose all listings and even all associates. So that's it, really, from the drop-down menu. Renee just has to choose all listings, all associates. There's no save button, nothing along those lines. We just click back to our main menu. And that means that all of Renee's listings are now set up to be co-marketed.
And Derek, you know what? So what if an agent goes into that area and the office, let's say the office did not yet enable co-marketing in their office. What are your best recommendations for them to do?
Oh, that's a great point. There would be a message just kind of in this area here, letting them know that the office is not set up or enabled with co-marketing and that they can reach out to the franchisee and they'll be able to go ahead and enable that feature for them.
Yeah, this is a newer feature, that we've launched, the co-marketing, and it could be that the owner, that the franchisee might not be aware because it's pretty new. So it's easy. They can contact franchise support and they can, learn more about the importance of making this enabled.
Absolutely. So again, once that feature is turned on for Renee, let's switch over to another browser here, and now we're signed in as Brad. So Brad is the associate that blew through all his properties or his inventory and wants to be able to go ahead and co-market one of Renee's properties. So when Brad signs into the Resource Center, we're still going to go ahead and click onto Properties up in the top left-hand corner there. And because he doesn't have any of his own active listings at the moment, you'll see here that we have Renee's listings. Now, being the co-marketing agent, he can't click into the listing like Renee can because it's still locked to the listing agent. So those associates that are set up with co-marketing, they can't make changes to the listing. They are not able to change the price or anything along those lines. They only have access to this little link here that you'll see that says co-market resources. So any property that has been enabled to be co-marketed will have that link. So if you remember back from the settings under Renee, she has the ability to specify if there's a particular property she doesn't want co-marketed. And if we use this as an example, it would just not have this link here where all the other properties would. That's the only difference. But here we have a new listing. So if Brad clicks onto co-market resources, the little tab is going to open up for him, and we have our tabs across the top again. We have our flyers, we have our property spotlight, and of course that open house check-in. So in the bottom left-hand side here, we can go ahead and download a photo, or a flyer, excuse me. It'll automatically open up. As Annette had mentioned there, of course, we're giving credit to Brad for doing the advertising, but we're also highlighting Renee down the bottom right-hand side as she is truly the listing agent. The great part about this as well, up at the top, we have that QR code. So if someone were to scan it, you're welcome to go ahead and scan it now. If you were to scan it, it's actually going to pull up a version of the flyer, of course, on your mobile device, and the lead would actually be going to Brad because Brad's going to be the one advertising or co-marketing this property. So that's a quick example of the flyer there. We'll close out of our flyers. Next up, we have our property spotlight. And so every property that is pulled in from the MLS into the Resource Center, of course, is going to have its own property spotlight. One of the great features of the co-marketing resources here is that it'll always identify who the lead is going to. So we know that this is Renee's listing, but up in the top right-hand corner, it'll always tell us who's getting the lead. So Brad knows the lead is going to him. So again, we have this QR code. Annette mentioned earlier on there, we can actually modify the appearance of it. So we can have, whether we want to include the exit logo, do we want the actual QR code to be white, teal, or black? Do we want the background to be white, teal, or black? Just make sure you're not choosing the same color for both, or of course that QR code won't stand out. And then you have the ability to go ahead and copy the QR code, or the link, excuse me, down below here. So let's just go ahead and copy it. We'll see if we can get it to open up here for us. And it's just going to show you an example of what it's going to look like here, of course, on a mobile device. So as you scroll down, it of course will have the actual agent, Brad's advertising here. We have the office. We have the listing agent as well. And you'll notice as I scroll, this toolbar comes across the top. So I'm on a desktop. Again, it's going to look a little different on a mobile view, but that is very prominent on a mobile view. So you can always have kind of a call to action button across the top of the mobile device as well. So the agent who's advertising or co-marketing is always going to be top of mind for whoever's scanning that QR code.
Yeah, and to your point, Derek, like, our technology is responsive to whatever device they're using. So it will look beautiful on desktop as it does on mobile, as it does on a tablet, and it looks great.
Absolutely. So let's just go ahead and do a little test here as well. This is going to be for when we swing back over to Renee's side, but let's just enter a little test. We're going to go ahead and yes, we are going to consent to our privacy. So this is, of course, going to generate a lead for us, and we're going to say get in touch.
And this so would actually be a lead for Brad, right, Derek?
Absolutely, you got it. Yeah. So it's going to go ahead and send information over to Brad as far as someone scanning that code, and he's going to be able to capture that lead. So we'll close out of that for right now. So that is our property spotlight. And then last but not least, we have our open house check-in. Again, it's going to identify who the lead's going to, just in case there's any confusion. I don't have a link for this one here, but if you were to go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen, you'll get an example here of what it looks like. You have a little preview. And same idea, as you scroll down, the individual has the ability to go ahead and enter in their first name, last name, whether or not they're already working with an associate, have they been pre-approved, are they just kind of being nosy and looking around, or are they really interested in a property? So there's a couple of questions that they're able to go ahead and answer. They're not mandatory, but again, in order to capture that lead, they're going to go ahead and agree and then be able to submit that information. And again, Brad's going to capture that lead. So as Annette mentioned, with the traditional way of open houses, of course, everyone has to fill out a form, and then you have to worry about, again, collecting that, doing follow-up. And so I personally hate paperwork. When I see paperwork all over people's desks, it gives me a bit of an itch. And so this way, of course, everything's done electronically. The information is going to be stored for Brad, whether it's going to be on an email because it's going to be set up with the email address that he has attached to his profile, or even a contact in the resource center as well. So that'll always be saved from there in the event he were to accidentally lose the email, delete it, anything along those lines, that lead will be captured in the resource center for sure. So if we come back up to the top here, we'll click into people, we know that we have people as kind of our contacts area of the resource center. And as you can see, Tim Green was the individual I used as an example. So we have Tim Green's name. Of course, we have the email address that I entered in there and that it was generated, or how the lead was generated. Again, because this is a fictional environment, tgreen@gmail, I'm sure, is a real email somewhere out there, but the lead itself, or the email itself, would go to that actual email address as well if we were in a real environment, not a test environment, and of course the associate be able to capture that information from there as well.
So good.
All right, and that is as easy as it is. Again, so kind of the first step is for that associate to go ahead and make sure that they're enabling that co-marketing. Even if they don't necessarily want to co-market with all the associates, if there's a team involved, the team leader can make sure that they're enabling that co-marketing feature, anything along those lines. So I'll go ahead and pass it over back to Annette now.
Thank you, Derek. That was so clear, and I believe it's going to be super helpful for the associates to follow along. All right, perfect. Show my screen. All right, so we're very excited about this new feature. The open house check-in is great, and it's definitely ensuring that no visitor gets left behind, right, while our associates are building their pipeline. And our brokers get to see two agents collaborating on one property, so everybody definitely wins. Now, I've got some to-dos. I want to make sure that every associate takes from what they've learned today and actually applies it to their business immediately. First thing I want you to do is for offices, if you haven't already enabled co-marketing, we would definitely encourage that you do that. And then second, the associates with listings, we encourage you to expand your reach and collaborate with the associates in your office. You can go in. It's always defaulted to none, so we don't assume that you want to participate in this. So you would have to go in and determine whether you want to make all of your listings enabled for co-marketing or specific ones. Choice is yours. And if you want all of the associates to have access, or if you want specific agents, okay? Then, of course, for the associates that are looking to build, we want them to go into the resource center, go find the co-marketing properties and get started on marketing properties, especially the weekends coming up. So get out there and get active with your marketing. We're excited about the tools and resources that we continue to provide our exit associates. And if you have any questions on the content, please reach out to our franchise support team. We can also schedule office trainings if needed, but as you discovered, it's a lot easier than you think. And that's the goal here, providing you tools and resources that build your confidence, but also builds opportunities to have more conversations, have you have more open houses, and build more relationships to close more deals. Thank you so much, Derek, for your time today. Really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you very much.
And for our audience, please tune in on the fourth Wednesday of every month. Right here, we have a Techinar where we focus on a short webinar about technology. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.